That picture was taken during my freshman year of college in Virginia in 1979. Having immigrated from South Korea in 1974, I was still learning how to carry myself in a world made up mostly of white students with some black students as well. One thing I was determined to avoid was being seen as the stereotypical Asian, quiet, compliant, academically obedient, socially awkward, and peripheral. So I overcorrected. I partied hard, take my grade, zero point 0.8 my first semester GPA, and even got into fights. These weren't random acts. They were attempts to say, I'm not who you think I am. That was my world 45 years ago, and in many ways, it's still the world many Asians live in today. So, how do we navigate a world shaped largely by white and black experiences? I live in Philadelphia, and the night of May 31, 2020 reminded me of Los Angeles in 1992. While riots were taking place, many stores owned by Korean immigrants were destroyed by rioters, many of whom were black residents of the surrounding neighborhoods. The contrast in how the children of Korean merchants responded was striking. In 1992, many defended their parents' stores with firearms. In 2020, some defended the rioters who destroyed their parents' store, even as they raised money on GoFundMe. I remember thinking, these weren't justice warriors, but confused Asian American, socially elevated, culturally anxious, and unsure how to reconcile their lived experience as uppity Asians with their desire to stand with the marginalized. This tension is not new. Even Asian Americans born here are often treated as perpetual foreigners. One college senior put it this way. Listen.
I'm an American, though I've spent my life proving it. My parents are Korean, but I was born here. Yet, if you're not chocolate or vanilla, people question you. I've been praised for my English and asked how long I've lived in the States. This second-class treatment makes many Asians ashamed of their heritage. My little brother can't pronounce his Korean name, and he's proud of that.
Experiences like these take a toll. 3 unhealthy responses often surface. 1. Dissociating from one's ethnicity, gravitating toward white peers, and blaming minorities for not assimilating. 2. Retreating into an ethnic enclave, withdrawing into cultural comfort, and accepting discrimination as inevitable. Yet another response is adopting an identity of the oppressed, claiming a status that doesn't reflect lived reality, and noticing identity-based movement uncritically. None of these lead to wholeness. So is there a better model? Yes, and it is found in Daniel. What we lack is not cultural strategy, but spiritual identity. An identity rooted in God, not in race. And that is why Prophet Daniel matters. Daniel was taken from Judah as a teenager, separated from his family, and re-educated in the dominant culture of Babylon, learning its language, literature, and customs. Yet he, as a Jew, rose to extraordinary prominence, serving as a top official under 3 emperors, Nebuchadnezzar, Darius, and Cyrus, across 2 world empires. Despite his success, Daniel never severed himself from his spiritual heritage as a follower of Yahweh. He continued to pray toward Jerusalem 3 times a day, even when doing so meant facing a lion's den. Was Daniel a blind patriot, a zealous nationalist who blamed everything on the big bad Babylonians? Hardly. Instead, he put the blame on the Jews themselves for what happened to them, praying, "We have sinned and done wrong." Neither did Daniel assimilate uncritically to Babylon, nor withdraw in fear from it. Instead, he entered the mainstream not as a Babylonian wannabe, nor as Judean nationalist, but as a servant of God. That is why he had the courage to tell his boss, King Nebuchadnezzar, whom he served faithfully, "Renounce your sins by doing what is right, and your wickedness by being kind to the oppressed." His life shows that identity in God frees us from spineless assimilation, fearful isolation, or performative pseudo-oppression. This is a model for minority Christians in America. We enter the mainstream not as white wannabes, nor as members of a pseudo-oppressed class, nor as people who avoid the public square. We enter as followers of Christ, whose identity is rooted in God's valuation of us in His Son. Therefore, we need not perform to please some, nor hide in fear from others. Instead of being intimidated by whites or any other group, we should boldly bear witness to Christ and his ways among all people. As 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds us, God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a power, love, and self-discipline. In closing, the same confusion evident in 1982 and again in 2020 becomes an opportunity for renewed gospel clarity. Asian American Christians positioned uniquely between whites and black, between Republicans whose conservative values may appeal to their faith commitment, and Democrats whose racial sensitivity may appeal to their racial concern, occupy a vantage point that enables them to speak with unusual sobriety and objectivity into American public life. Accordingly, while they can remind President Trump that statements such as a whole civilization will die tonight regarding Iran, and concluding a message on an Easter Sunday with praise be to Allah, and later posting an AI image of himself as Jesus, were inappropriate to say the least, they can also tell the Democrats that not every social or political issue is fundamentally about race. Asian American Christians need not be swept into anyone's narrative. As an independent political and spiritual voices, they can call out error wherever it appears and point all sides toward the only reconciliation that ultimately matters, reconciliation with God through his Son, Jesus Christ. This orientation does not rise from cultural strategy, but from spiritual identity, an identity grounded in God rather than race. It is what I lacked in 1979 and what many Asian Americans continue to lack today.